I never thought I'd hear a complete stranger accuse me of being an unfit mother in front of my children. But there she stood, Karen Witherspoon, president of our HOA, clipboard in hand and judgment oozing from every pore, her bulk framed by the shadows of my maple trees as if she had risen straight out of a horror film. My twin boys, Ryan and Eli, stood frozen on the porch behind me, their soccer balls dropped at their feet. "This neighborhood has standards," Karen said, her voice clipped and sharp. "And I'm afraid I have no choice but to report a breach in those standards. Your yard is a hazard, and your situation is starting to raise concern. For the safety of the children." I stared at her, stunned. "You mean my children? In my yard?" Karen tapped her temple, as if she knew something I didn't. HOA Code 12.4.2 Chronic disorder of a family's outdoor space may be grounds for child welfare concern in extreme cases. She smiled. Actually smiled. "You'd be surprised how effective that clause can be. Let me make something very clear. I'm a single mom. Widowed. I lost my husband, Mark, to a training accident overseas. Marine Corps. He died a hero, and I've spent every breath since then holding it together for our boys. Sure, I work 2 jobs and yeah, the yard gets messy sometimes, but we are safe, loved, and grounded." And Karen knew that. She just didn't care. See, Karen had been gunning for me since the day I moved in. She hated that my husband's military death gave me a small veteran's property tax exemption. She called it special treatment. She hated the mini flag I had hung beneath the front window, saying it was too loud. She hated that I couldn't afford a landscaping crew to keep the lawn at the exact HOA-mandated 2.5 inches. And worst of all, she hated that I smiled at neighbors, and they smiled back. But this? Threatening my boys. My voice trembled, but not from fear. From fury. "Are you threatening to report me to CPS?" Karen tilted her head. "Not threatening. Just informing. It's my duty as HOA president to protect neighborhood children. Some of us are worried that your situation has gotten unstable." The words landed like a punch to the chest. My hands clenched. Eli whimpered behind me, and Ryan stepped closer to his brother like he understood something bad was happening, but didn't know what. "You have no right," I started. "Actually, I do," Karen snapped. "I've already sent photographs. Of the clutter. Of your kids running outside barefoot near the sprinkler wiring. Of your trash bins left out past collection day. The next step is a formal CPS inspection. Unless," she smirked, "you voluntarily vacate and put the house up for sale. For the safety of the children." It wasn't just an attack. It was blackmail. She was trying to force me out, weaponizing motherhood, grief, and bureaucracy to take what she wanted: control. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just shut the door in her smug face. Then I picked up the phone and called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Her name was Camille. She and I had been best friends in college. After law school, she went one way and I went another until Mark's funeral, when she flew in from DC and promised me, "If anyone ever messes with you or those boys, I'll bury them in paperwork." I explained everything. Camille didn't hesitate. "She's bluffing," she said coolly. "But if she made any contact with CPS, she just handed you a legal grenade." Why? Because unless there's documented abuse or actual danger to a child's well-being, a false CPS claim based on personal grievance is defamation, harassment, and potentially malicious reporting. And if she used HOA resources or her position of authority to do it, we've got ourselves a civil suit and an abuse of office charge. Camille flew in that weekend. When Karen saw her tall, sharp-in heels and a navy suit, walking up my driveway with a leather briefcase, her face cracked for the first time. I didn't even need to introduce them. Camille extended her hand and said, "Camille Darnell, JD. I'm representing Ms. Harper and her children in all matters related to your abuse of authority, libel, and attempted coercion." Karen didn't take her hand. She turned beet red and sputtered, "This isn't about me. This is about them. Look at this yard. It's dangerous." Camille didn't flinch. "We've reviewed every HOA bylaw, every clause in your handbook, and every picture you sent to child services. Not one constitutes child endangerment. The CPS rep already closed the file after one anonymous call from a concerned neighbor. Your words, I assume. You'll be getting a certified letter soon. I suggest you lawyer up." But Karen wasn't finished. 2 days later, she doubled down, called a surprise HOA meeting, and handed out printed complaints to every board member. She claimed I was unhinged, that Camille intimidated her, and that the presence of a lawyer proved a pattern of instability. She demanded an emergency vote to begin proceedings to remove me from the community. But what Karen didn't count on, the people she'd spent years stepping on, were finally watching. One of them was Mr. Thorne, a retired judge. He lived across the street and had never liked drama, but he had always liked Mark and me. He stood up during her rant and calmly said, "Mrs. Witherspoon, do you have any documentation of criminal behavior from Ms. Harper? Anything that could legally justify removing her from her home?" Karen stammered, "Well, no, but then I strongly suggest you stop this witch hunt before I call in favors downtown and file a civil complaint myself for neighbor harassment." Karen turned silent, and then Camille dropped the twist. She stood, holding up a document. "Just for the record," she said to the board, "we've obtained email logs showing Mrs. Witherspoon instructed the HOA secretary to collect surveillance photos from neighbors' Ring cameras without their permission, specifically targeting single parents and veterans on this block. That constitutes privacy violation under state code." The room gasped. Even the board chair looked stunned. Karen's eyes darted. That's taken out of context. I was trying to maintain safety." Camille smiled. "Then I'm sure you'll be happy to explain that to the court. The local paper and CP SWO's agent has now opened a second file. This time on you." Karen looked like her knees might give out. She grabbed the back of a folding chair as murmurs filled the HOA meeting room. One woman clutched her purse tighter. A man in the back slowly shook his head. The tide had shifted. But Camille wasn't done. "You see, ladies and gentlemen," she continued, stepping forward with a calm grace that made her words hit even harder. "This isn't just about one mother. This is about power abuse power. This is about a self-appointed neighborhood monarch who has, for years, targeted residents who didn't bow to her aesthetic demands or social preferences. Mrs. Witherspoon tried to weaponize the very institution meant to foster community. She crossed a line when she made false child welfare reports and demanded a mother abandon her home. She crossed it again when she spied on neighbors. And now, she's about to see what real accountability feels like." Karen made one last desperate attempt to claw her way back. "She's manipulating you," she screeched, finger trembling as she pointed at me. "She's using her friend to bully me out of my position. This is a setup." Camille didn't even blink. "If this were a setup, you wouldn't have sent those emails. You did this to yourself." Karen stormed out, knocking over a plastic cup of water as she went. It splashed across her folder of papers, soaking the ink until it bled like her credibility. The board voted to suspend her pending an investigation. Mr. Thorne stepped in as interim president. I didn't say a word that night. I didn't need to. My silence was louder than anything Karen had ever screamed. But the real reckoning came 2 weeks later. Camille filed an official civil suit in my name: libel, harassment, attempted coercion, and emotional distress. The evidence was rock solid. Timestamps, HOA records, statements from neighbors, even security footage from the walkers next door that showed Karen sneaking around my yard with her phone camera while muttering insults under her breath. The CPS file, now closed, included a note from the agent describing Karen's report as unfounded and retaliatory. Word spread fast. Turns out, Karen had done this before. A young couple down the street came forward to say she'd also tried to force them out when their son with autism made too much noise in the backyard. She'd told them they were disturbing the peace. Another woman revealed that Karen had suggested she move after her divorce, saying single women attract the wrong kind of attention. Now the community saw the pattern. The local paper picked up the story after Camille forwarded them a statement. The headline: HOA harassment allegations rock quiet suburb, single mother fights back. It featured a full-length photo of me holding Eli and Ryan, the flag still proudly waving behind us, and a close-up of the wooden sign Camille had helped me plant beside the garden. "You don't touch my family." Karen tried to file a countersuit, claimed we were defaming her. But her own words, those emails, the HOA records, the photos told the story. Her lawsuit was dismissed within weeks. Then came the final blow. A state licensing board received an anonymous tip that Karen had been posing as a certified HOA compliance officer using fake credentials to intimidate residents. The investigation found she'd never completed the required certification. She had doctored a PDF and added it to the HOA website herself. That's a felony. She was arrested in her driveway on a Tuesday morning. Camille and I watched from my porch, coffee mugs in hand, as Karen was escorted in cuffs into the back of a patrol car. She didn't even look at us. Her head hung low, hair frizzing wildly in the wind like all the control she once held had finally been ripped away. The boys watched too. Ryan turned to me and said, "Mom, are we safe now?" I bent down, hugged them both tight, and whispered, "We always were." In the months that followed, the neighborhood changed. Mr. Thorne became permanent HOA president and rewrote the bylaws with community input. The petty fines stopped. So did the secret surveillance. Neighbors started helping one another again, trimming hedges, watching each other's kids, sharing stories over lemonade. Camille stayed for another month, helped me renovate the garden, and even install a proper sprinkler system, just to be petty. She said it was her way of giving the boys a fortress. She didn't need to. Her presence alone reminded me that strength doesn't always look like shouting. Sometimes it looks like standing up with facts, law, and grace. The lawsuit closed with a 6-figure settlement. I used it to pay off the house, set up a college fund for the boys, and donate to a nonprofit that supports veterans' widows. Every dime felt like justice. Karen? She took a plea deal and vanished from the neighborhood. Rumors say she moved in with her sister upstate. No one misses her. Not even the HOA and me. I still fly the flag. Still work 2 jobs. Still burn toast every other Sunday. But I also smile more. Walk taller. And every time I see my boys laughing in that once-hazardous yard, I remember what Camille told me the night she landed. You are not powerless. You just forgot how loud your truth can be. So here I am, reminding you. No one, not even a self-proclaimed neighborhood queen, has the right to weaponize your life against you. Stand firm. Speak up. Protect your peace. Because the second you draw your line, they'll realize they never had the power they thought they did. Do you think HOA Karen went too far? Or do you believe some rules are meant to protect the community at any cost? I'd love to hear what side you're on.